Good afternoon. My name is Piotr Szymański, and I'm going to discuss the report on cardiovascular unmet medical needs, the report from the Cardiovascular Roundtable, which was held as a high-level meeting between European Society of Cardiology and European Medicines Agency. Now, it is important to know that cardiovascular diseases remain the leading cause of mortality and also a substantial economic burden. And in this context, we discussed in the paper and during the cardiovascular roundtable the unmet medical needs together with the regulators. And it is clear that the investment in cardiovascular research should be proportionate to the burden of cardiovascular diseases. And it is not. Fayez, I'll get back to you in order to discuss the topic. Why is it so? And what were the discussions during the cardiovascular roundtable about?
Yeah, thank you, Piotr. Well, the main issue is to define what is unmet medical need because it's not defined on real health care system, but on priorities. And I had to say that there is a competition between main areas of the highest, rate of mortality, cardiovascular, but also cancer and orphan diseases. The main issue is that we are not good in order to make, again, everyone realize that the highest unmet medical needs are in cardiovascular. But of course, it's hateful to compete because it's really important that everyone has got a chance to develop drugs. But the main issue is that the regulatory agencies, and not only the European agency, but the FDA has been extremely creative to make it easier for orphan diseases and cancer through lots of creativity, whether it is expedited access pathway, whether it is the prime European, etc., in order to have faster approval. But this simply doesn't apply to cardiovascular, and that's the issue.
Well, it's extremely interesting because from the regulatory point of view, it seems that the definition itself is broad enough to encompass cardiovascular diseases. Yet there are some reasons for which this is not the case. And these were the topics that we were discussing during the cardiovascular roundtable. Could you please bring a little bit more information about that?
There is a much higher return investment if you have an approved drug in orphan diseases and in cancer. And that's this simple. I mean, over the last 10 or 20 years, most research had diverted to oncology and often and approvals are many more in this area than in cardiovascular. Although in cardiovascular, we have a very vibrant pipeline. But return investment, reimbursement, and also the bar for approval has been made much easier through a number of creative, initiatives in other diseases not applied in cardiovascular.
Well, we have been in a constant dialogue with the regulators and specifically with the European Medicines Agency here in Europe on these topics. How do you think this dialogue should be continued, and what are the conditions for the successful results, for the successful outcomes of such dialogue?
Well, I'm not sure the issue is really related to regulatory. They are really open and they have shown that actually they can be extremely creative to help innovation and approval. But it is related to society and reimbursement. I mean, the society is much more emotional about cancer and orphan and rare diseases than cardiovascular. And therefore, they are much ready to pay the price, a high cost for reimbursement. And industry are just fleeing away from cardiovascular just to have a quicker return and a higher return investment. So it is not an issue of regulatory of trial science. We are very good into and including surrogate. Surrogates are very highly used in cardiovascular. In oncology, not much in cardiovascular.